Like, will you hand me this and this?
Check.
To get you through. Mike, John knows I do that. Like,
You ready, Gene? John, you ready?
Yes.
Gene, you ready?
Yes.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, testing. Good evening, everyone. Meeting is officially now in session. Thank you all for coming. This is the Board of Education meeting on March 15th, 2022, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Next item is the approval of the agenda, and we do have a change to the personnel items, so I will read those into the motion when we get to the, we'll have to separate that out of the consent agenda so it can be read separately.
I have one other change.
Yes?
If we could take the approval of the meeting minutes, item D, out of the consent agenda as well.
So that would be 9B, so.
D is a
No,
dog.
and B is a personnel.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, both. Understood. All right, then I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Anderson, second by Drake. Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson? Yes. Mr. Drake?
Yes.
I have 5 yes. Motion carries.
All right, moving on. The next item on the agenda is the recognitions. And we have some individual and teams to recognize from our winter sports season. Becky Belmont.
No.
That's
you're
close
fine.
enough.
Demonstration. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to 2 of our 3 All-State athletes from the winter season. First is Adriana Demos. Adriana placed 3rd in the IHSA state finals in girls wrestling. This was the first state finals for girls wrestling in IHSA history. Adriana was also a great mentor and teammate to our freshman wrestler that also qualified for the state tournament. Adriana is also the reigning Miss Teen Illinois International, and Adriana will be attending Albion College in the fall to continue wrestling.
Woo!
Toughest sport on the planet.
Our second All-State athlete could not be here this evening. That's Blake Vanderjute. Blake placed 3rd in diving at the IHSA state finals. He is our first All-State diver in Warren history. He broke his own school record several times throughout the season, and Blake is also a senior. He'll be attending Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis in the fall to continue diving. Next we have Amanda Hammond. Amanda placed 4th in the IHSA Gymnastics State Finals in the vault, earning All-State honors. Amanda also qualified in the all-around competition. This is Amanda's first year at Warren, and she quickly became a leader of the gymnastics team. Lucky for Warren, Amanda's only a junior, and she will be returning to us next year.
Yay.
I also would like to thank Brad Janisic, our head wrestling coach, Kyle Ehrman, also known as Kyle the Diver, he's our diving coach, and Mary Kovac, the head gymnastics coach, for all their hard work throughout the season. Congratulations to everyone.
That's it?
That is it, and I also just want to make sure that the board is aware that I do believe, Ms. Belmont, can you confirm for me? Ms. Belmont, can you just confirm for me? I do believe that those 3 have also been invited to the meeting on the 21st at the Village of Gurney, and so the mayor and the village board are also going to recognize them next week, the well-deserved recognition next week as well, so thank you.
Awesome.
All right, then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the reception of visitors. So I don't know if anybody signed in, but, yeah. Hey, no, okay. So nobody signed in to address the board this evening, but if anybody would like to take their opportunity to talk to the board tonight, that would be wonderful. No? All right. Moving right along. Come right up, sir. Tell us your name, please.
My name is Adrian Jones, and I'm a junior at Warren. I'm coming here to talk about the basketball team and just some things that happened this season and changes I'd like to see in the future. Last year or this season, I felt that there was a lot of disrespect and infighting on the team, and within players. First of all, I feel like a lot of players that played were going against players who didn't play as much, and that caused a lot of animosity with the players, and it got to the point where it was very upfront and noticeable. Not even like in the back locker room, like out on the floor, people cursing each other, stuff like that. And I feel like that the coaches, they also saw, and I feel like that nothing was ever done about it, and that players were not held accountable to their actions by the coaches, which I understand that we should hold ourselves accountable as we are old enough to, but I feel like that the coaches should also keep us in line. And I feel like that didn't happen as much as I would like to see. And this carried over into game times where a coach and a player would have a disagreement, and there'd be verbal altercations on the floor, or even just physical mannerisms, and those players were never held for their actions, whether it's the words or how they presented themselves. And I feel like there's no change there, and I really wanted to see a change there. And I even went to my coaches about it one time and explained to them, because I dealt with what I felt like was bullying to me, if you want to put it like that, where at the beginning of the season, I didn't really have respect from my teammates, even though I try to respect them. And I felt like that they were, a lot of times, were putting me down under, and I felt like I could never get along with them. I dealt with this last year too, but I thought it was like a fluke thing because COVID was happening, so I let it go. I come back and I dealt with the same thing. And when I approached my coaches, there was just maybe a minute talk about it to the team, saying that we can't have this. And I felt like it continued the rest of the season, but not with me. I eventually got my respect from my teammates, from the coaches, slightly more as the season progressed, and as I started to play more. But I have friends on the team who never saw the court, never played, and they were consistently dealing with teammates being upset at them in practice for small things, and it was loud, and you can hear it throughout the gym, and nothing was ever done about it. And I just hope that there's more accountability and more things done in the future to make sure that the coaches not only realize it, but they take action about it, and then for the players to realize it with each other and be able to figure it out.
Thank you. We appreciate your input, and I forgot to mention before this that this is just an opportunity for you to address the board. It doesn't become an interchange. We're not going to have a conversation tonight, but there will be some information, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up. It takes a lot of courage to do it, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next. Hi.
My name is Kat Resnick. My son is Amarius Stevens. He's also a junior. So I'd like to start off by saying that I am disappointed to bring the issues of the basketball program here today, considering that this has been an ongoing problem, as evidenced by years of prior complaints from parents and students. When compared to other well-developed athletic programs at Warren, our basketball program falls short in many aspects. First, there's a blatant lack of player development. Our program should at least have some pipeline for the basketball athletes to explore collegiate options. And our varsity players should receive the appropriate mentorship and guidance required to reach out to college coaches. There is none of that currently taking place. The lack of guidance was reflected on a weekly basis when the feedback and enthusiasm given to most players during practice did not correlate with the playing opportunities during game time. Questionable player equity across the team was a glaring problem, as we saw some players participate the entire game despite issues, shortcomings, bad plays, and etc. It makes me deeply concerned for the players' equity in this program when I personally witnessed the white players hurling curse words and obscenities at the coaching staff without so much as a slap on the wrist, while talented players of color rode the bench for the entire game. Issues such as these cause talented children to leave the team, and those that have stayed voiced concerns to parents and others in the community regarding their mental health and the debilitating effects that this toxic team culture has had on them. During this mess of a season, there was little to none communication from the coaching staff. Pertinent details of an out-of-town tournament were given with only 2 days' notice, and feedback on process or needs for improvement were never communicated at all. I believe that I'm speaking on behalf of all of our community members sharing these concerns when I say that the program needs a serious overhaul. It's my understanding that very similar problems have been brought forward to this board and the athletic director before, and yet here we are again, same problem, different year. So our children deserve better, and my child deserves better, and our community deserves better.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Hi, my name's Ann Regan, and my son was also a junior on the basketball team this year. And I think the bottom line is we want to know why. You know, why is there such a disparity in the culture, in the athletic progression and development of the basketball players versus the other phenomenal teams? And it isn't for lack of talent. The talent is there. We believe it. I mean, it's tough being a parent coming up here and saying, what happened to my kid and his team, right? But we just want to know why. Why can't it be as good as? Why can't the coaching be as good as? Why can't, you know, just the overall season be as good as? We don't want to lose our talented players, and there is a serious feeling of neglect, of lack of development, of lack of caring. So we just would like to know why. If you could help us with that, we're not having a discussion tonight, I understand that. Many parents and students have met with the athletic directors, but as people have mentioned, it just is not changing. So we would like to leave it with you. The question is why? Why can't we be better? So thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your input as always.
Board. My name is Michelle Reeves. My husband is over there. We also had a junior on the basketball team. He also plays football for the school and runs track as well. And so similar to Ann's point, I think what I would like to say, and thank you to the athletic director, we did meet with her and we spoke with the coaches and the incoming AD. And after my meeting is why now I think I want to address the board, because we had a series of questions, some like interview questions, right? Like, here's the scenario, tell me what worked, tell me what didn't work, and what are we doing to improve moving forward? And my takeaway was that there was limited information that was shared with me as a parent coming to have a conversation to say, give me your methodology. What's the strategy of the team? You've been doing it for 20 to 25 years now. What did you do in the beginning? When was your successful year? And what are you carrying into this year or the years, prior that we're trying to make an impact or we're trying to see something different? And my takeaway was that, maybe communication has grown, which to my standpoint, I would say, I don't think communication has grown. I'm a part of 3 sports at the school, right? So I'm just comparing what we actually receive in different sports and what I'm getting from the basketball program, and it's not the same, right? So again, why aren't we being communicated with the same? It's the same school, right? It's the same sports division, department, so there should be some consistency throughout, right? So where's the consistency for the communication? Where's the consistency for, this is our program, this is how we operate, here's what you can expect from me as a coach, here's what I can expect of the students who are participating in the program, because it goes both ways, right? Adrian spoke about respect. I know that that's some of the worn ways, right? They all come in with that attitude. So where is all of that, and what does it take for us to get it? if these are consistent complaints, how do we as parents do better? How do you as the board do better? How does the athletic department do better? Where's that exchange? Because I know we're not having it today, but how do we get it so we can see change? Understanding there's contractual things, so perhaps the ask is not that the coach, goes away, but is there accountability for the coach? What is that evaluation process looking like? And how do parents engage, vice versa, having those conversations and being able to move forward? So I just would hope that the board is really hearing what parents are having to say, and not just parents, but students. And we are trying to speak on behalf of our kids, and some of them are very introverted and don't want to come to the microphone and speak, right? And so as parents, we're trying to be the advocates for our kids. But like I told my son, Quentin, I want us to be advocates for the students that are going to be coming into the program. I've had the ability to talk to parents whose kids are trying to come up in the program, and they want to understand, what am I getting my child into, right? My husband and I spoke to people in the community before we came into Warren. I went to Waukegan High School. I've been around for a long time, and people were telling us not to bring our son here for the basketball program. These are conversations that people are having. But I'm a cheerleader. So anything that I'm a part of, I'm trying to support and I'm trying to cheer it on. How do I cheer on our basketball program? I'm having a hard time figuring out how to do that. So I hope that you guys are hearing us and we can find some solutions to move forward and have better years. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All I can say is that we hear you. We definitely hear you, so come on up.
Hello, board, and I know the athletic director is here. I had an opportunity to speak with her earlier today. My name is Marty Jones. That was my son, Adrian Jones, who came up and spoke to you guys. So one of the things that is pretty clear to me is that there's a lot that's going on with the basketball program that seemingly there's not a lot of optics on. And so from the parent group, there's a lot of concerns, and we've expressed those concerns to the athletic director. The one that's most glaring for me is a toxic environment where the bullying, harassing, and those types of behaviors are tolerated or a blind eye is taken to that. And in some specific instances, there's a couple of players that wouldn't necessarily represent the Warren way. And it's not like the coaches didn't know, because I know for sure my son brought this issue up to the coaches and told them about it. But when I spoke to the athletic directors, they weren't aware of what was going on. It's easy to observe someone who's sitting on the bench who may seemingly have a bad attitude, but it's also easy to observe someone who walks off the court, while some may say they're passionate, that, wow, they're really into the game, and that's amazing that it means that much to them. And others may say, no, that kid got a bad attitude, and it's the same kids. And this is not a new, like some of the other parents have said, this is not a new occurrence. We moved here in 2006. My son, Stacy and Sean, graduated in 2017. We talked to Coach Mack, totally different experience on the football program. We got kids, I don't want to single anyone out, but that would move from other areas into Warren to be part of our football program. We got kids that move out of our district to not be part of our basketball program. And I think for me, one of the things that I was encouraged talking to the athletic director, because she seemingly wasn't as aware of what was going on, but from a coaching perspective, I got a lot of defensiveness, where it's just like, I'm a parent. I care about my son first and foremost. And I'm also speaking, from the community. I've been here for some time. I had meetings with the coaches, and it just seems like, okay, you want to defend yourself and be defensive, as opposed to how can we move forward and make this a better program that's inviting, that we can all support. So the only thing I'm asking, for the board to do is just, take a look at the program, see what's going on. One of the things the coaches said, that if the talent is equated, where we got similar level players, we should be competitive there. And we play a really rigorous schedule. There's a whole bunch of teams in our conference that player development, style of play, different things like that. We got 4,500 kids in this district. We got 2 coaches. I watch all the teams downstate, got 10 coaches. It could be, here's a suggestion, freshman coach, sophomore coach, varsity coach, y'all sit together. Instead of our assistant coach taking stats around what his shooting percentage was, coach up the players, call in plays, pay attention to the game. So that's something fundamental that we can do as opposed to, trying to keep stats. And then the whole thing, like I said, that was most concerning for me is I know my son had a conversation with the coaches, and I'm going to be honest with you, probably this is only about 20% about my son, but there was another parent that came up here, and I'm not going to mention which one, or some other parents, their kids got it really hard. And by the time we hear about it as parents, or by the time you hear about it as the board, it's an iceberg. You just see the tip. What's going on up under that? And there's a lot involved there. So all we ask is that you take a look, and I know we can do better.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Kellen Reeves. I am father of Warren Jr. Quentin Reeves. I just wanted to briefly share and add to a couple things that were mentioned about the basketball program. And I share just because simply I don't know, if these things get back to the board, right? To the point made about the number of coaches. I just want to mention that I have personally spoken to people that have coached with the current regime and have left because they felt like things were not going in the right direction. It would not go in the correct direction until that regime was gone. The feedback from inside the program was not that, things just need to change. We need some oversight. It was until the regime is changed, things will remain the same. I have heard people directly from people that are Warren employees that as soon as a change is made at the top of the program will take a 180, and I'm quoting on that. The feedback from the community, as has been mentioned, and people within the basketball community in Lake County. So I know AAU often gets a bad rap, but a lot of times these are coaches, trainers, mentors, people that, dedicate a large portion of their lives to working with young men and women, developing players, things of that nature. The feedback has been said, has typically been that players that go to the Warren's boys basketball program are not developed on the court or off the court, and that the program is toxic and harmful for players. To the point that, as has been mentioned, parents who have children who are serious about trying to pursue basketball, especially at the collegiate level, are forced with having to make a serious decision about, do I move my child from the district? Do I put them in a different school? And that has not been the case about any other program. As my wife mentioned, our son has been a part of multiple different sports. We have, quite frankly, heard nothing but positive statements from the community about those coaches, and our experiences with those programs have been extremely positive. So this is seemingly an anomaly here at Warren, and to the point made, this is not a new anomaly because it has been parents and players that have been in the program previously have had these same issues and complaints as well. So I know you did mention, Mr. Anderson, that you are hearing us. I just wanted to make sure that I reiterate some of those things because it is loud. The noise and the buzz in the community is loud, and if we are a community school, if we are wanting community support, I think it does matter what the community has to say. Not that the community is in charge of the program necessarily, but the approval rating is extremely low. So I just wanted to provide that bit of insight. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we like it when you're loud. It's not a problem. Wait a minute. You don't get another turn, do you?
Overruled.
Thank you. Just another thought that came to mind as I was listening. So with the basketball team, again, of course, I feel like it's hard for me to say it because I don't like to be front on this issue, but I feel like there's initial bias on who plays, and I don't know what the factor is on a bias, but I can tell you as a black person and with my teammates who are also of color, when I speak to them privately, we have a feeling it could do with race. We're not sure. We don't want to say it is because no one wants to assume something that could be incorrect. But we feel like that could be a problem. And, it's proven in ways where there's people on the bench who, let's say, that they're not as talented as people who play, they still show good attitude. They're never fighting with the coach. I feel like, at least in a school environment, those people deserve a few minutes in a game. Not even like every game. Just let them actually have the experience of playing at high school. I feel like everyone should be able to at least play varsity. If you're on a varsity team, you should be able to get a taste of playing in the game. And I feel like that some of the people who were playing, even though that they continue to disrespect the coach here and there, that they were just given free leeway to play as long as they were playing well. And so I feel like that was an issue. And then kind of the reverse of it is when the team, I won't say players, when the team wasn't doing well, where we went on a losing streak, or even in the middle of the game where we were having a terrible stretch of playing, I don't feel like that there was change made. Like when teachers teach and they're not getting through to their students that they're teaching, they might try to approach a different way. If you're trying to train a pet and you're trying to teach them to sit and they won't listen to verbal cues, maybe you try some physical cues. And I feel like as a basketball team, first we got to look at the players or the coaches, whichever way you want to go. If you look at the players, we're like, okay, maybe these players are not playing well. Maybe let's switch up what we're playing, or who we're playing, my bad. Maybe attempt to do that. And then if, you bring in this new set of players and they're not playing well, try change up scheme and how we approach this game. And so that goes back to the coach's standpoint. And then and then if both fail to work, maybe just, have a heart-to-heart moment in practice. You can worry about it after game. It doesn't have to be in game because you don't want fighting or anything. But have the team come together in practice and just talk about what went wrong and what could we do better. And I feel like that there could be more of that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Hello, how you doing, board? My name is Craig Burton. I don't want to belabor the point on the basketball team. I do have a freshman who played sophomore basketball this year, but he's the third son I had that went through Warren Township. The oldest son is Craig Burton, who junior, obviously. He graduated in 2010. I have another son that graduated in 2019, and this is my youngest son who'll be graduating in 2025. When I was in 2005, I was in a different area. I moved to the Gurney Warren School District in 2005, and I saw the hope of a basketball team, and I saw stadiums that was filled. And you would have to go all the way to the top to get a seat if you come to a game late. Great basketball team, always competed for state. And he came, the current regime, current coach, came from that system. So either there was something that happened, because we got a parallel system with the football team, which is tremendous, and two of my boys play with the football team. We have this system with the basketball team that's just toxic. And there's 5 things I just want to touch base with on what the biggest issues with this basketball team. It's the toxic culture that's definitely breaking the spirits of our kids. There's the lack of community, where the coach really don't communicate with the players as well, and he don't communicate with the parents as well. So it feels like there's no community that's involved there. There's a lack of leadership because he's not moving the kids forward. And he's responsible being a leader of men. There's a lack of player development, and they come to play basketball, spend more hours during the basketball season than they do with us. And then the last thing is just a lack of total involvement, and the kids just feel like their spirits are broken when they come to this program. And when I have a son that I got to make the decision, Is he going to continue to go up in this program, or do we have to move out of the district? That's my viewpoint on it, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Okay. Are we free to move on? Okay, we do appreciate your input. Thank you very much. So, then the next item is the president's report. The president is absent this evening. I don't have anything to report, so I'm the acting president tonight. Unless anybody has a specific topic at this time. Committee reports.
Dr. Engel, I think we had a finance committee meeting?
There was definitely a finance committee that took place on February the 22nd. We approved the minutes of the, oh my goodness, October 5th, 2021 Finance Committee minutes. We reviewed the 5-year projections with and without the referendum. We reminded the committee members to expect a decline in federal COVID-19 related funds moving forward and to anticipate inflation for the upcoming years. So that was pretty much the entirety of that finance committee meeting. Any questions?
Not by me. Okay, the superintendent's report is next.
I have a lot of things on the superintendent's report. None are as important as Taylor. So Taylor, do you want to please step forward and update the board on what you've been up to?
That's here. Hi, my name is Taylor Simmons, and I'm here on behalf of the Black Student Union and the district leadership team. So for BSU, we just have a few updates. Last month, we had our showcase. It's our annual event we have. It's a huge community event. This year, it was virtual and pre-recorded just because of the COVID restrictions and fears of a potential outbreak. So we wanted to do our part to make sure that we kept the community safe. It was about 30 to 45 minutes, but it was still very nice. There's still dancing and singing and poetry, and our leadership team did a great job of executing it. And as we always do, we had the teacher-nominated Black Excellence Awards, in which Black students were nominated for character, academics, and leadership. So that's definitely a highlight of our club. And you can find this on our YouTube channel, WTHS BSU, if you're interested in viewing it. So today we had a leadership meeting. After the showcase, you always have like a meeting to just debrief and kind of see how our club's going to move on for the rest of the spring semester and looking forward for the upcoming fall semester. So our main thing that we are discussing next week is the HBCUs. I don't know if we're partnering up with the Waukegan Yancey committee for the HBCU tour. It's mainly a Waukegan sponsored event, so I don't have a lot of information on that because everything is kind of up in the air. But we'll do a presentation. We'll have just a discussion and see kind of what our underclassmen have set for, and have our underclassmen what they have planned for, and our upperclassmen to see what their college plans are and kind of break down the college process for them. And our biggest event coming up is in June. We were approached by the Yes WTHS to organize a voter registration drive to support the upcoming referendum this June. We did a voter registration drive back in September of 2020. It was a very nice event. We went through the Gurney Township with Mayor Hood, and everything has been approved, so we're looking forward to that. And yeah, that's what we have set for. We can move forward with that. Thank you.
I hope you get to have the Black History Month thing live again, because I went to it the last time it was live. It was really a lot of fun. So
very nice. It's not the same virtually.
No, it just doesn't have the impact. It's very cool, but it's just not. It's not as exciting. So I hope next year we can go live. Pardon me?
Did I mess with this? It sounds different when I was talking compared to the other people. Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
You broke it.
Hopefully we're done with virtual stuff for a while.
Sure, there's thanks, Taylor, it was great. Another, other things I wanted to update the board on. First off, the attendance, enrollment, and discipline reports for February are in your March board packet. Also, keep in mind, I think if you hadn't already found it, there should be an email regarding the statement of economic interest from the county clerk's office. Those are due May the 1st. Also wanted to make sure that you're aware that we're following our 8th grade athletic and activity night a few weeks back. We started making sure we started putting some information out there about our athletic summer camp. So those athletic summer camps registration begins April 1st online, so those are all probably online registrations, so I want to make sure the board was aware of that. Also, we are, just as an announcement for the board, we will continue to have this summer, as we have in past summers, have summer hours in the district, meaning there's 4 10-hour workdays generally on Monday through Thursday. There are a few weeks around the 4th of July and other days where we kind of stagger things. We have summer school going on, but just an announcement to the board that we will still have summer hours this upcoming summer. Wanted to make sure I invited Dr. Keeley Ford just to give the board a little update on the March 7th safety presentation or workshop that was done here at our Alma campus.
On March 7th, Mr. Giacaris and I partnered with the Regional Office of Education, Dr. Karner and Shane McCorkle, and we were able to host the countywide safety conference. It's the first time Lake County has done that. We are excited to partner with them, especially when you have it here. You can get a lot of your own people to go to it. We had an in-service day, so the majority of our staff was over at Eau Plaine. We had the whole School of Almond to work with the ROE to develop this conference here that was countywide. Extremely successful, in my opinion. I think that they would say the same thing. Over 200 attendees, several speakers, keynote speaker, pretty impactful from Sandy Hook, a mother who lost her child in the Sandy Hook shooting many years ago. Extremely impactful to listen to her experience and how she goes on this circuit to, again, help schools be more prepared, to be more aware of the warning signs. Several breakout sessions that we were able to attend, which were awesome, with a threat assessment, lessons learned from previous school shootings. The FBI had people here, the Secret Service had people here giving us different presentations on different things with school security and making sure our staff and our student service teams have the most up-to-date best practices from those awesome organizations that can certainly help us. We look forward to continuing this partnership in the future. Once we have our calendar approved, we will set it up where we will hopefully, if the ROE is willing to run this again, we will have it again next spring. Our social workers, counselors, deans, our SRO, myself, I didn't get to go to a lot of sessions. We were trying to run the show here, but I got into 1 or 2. So hopefully we continue to have that so our staff has that opportunity. Any questions at all? Nope. Okay.
Thanks, Pat. Yeah, we also, on that day, by the way, we did have a Teachers Institute, most of which took place over at our Old Plaine campus. So we were able to recognize as well many of our staff who reached years of service milestones in the district and retirees. So that's actually our last Teacher Institute day of the year was on the 7th. It was nice that it partnered well with the safety workshop here. Also, just a quick little note I made to myself, just that I think the Booster Club had put out recently the fact that they are going to be having a golf outing again this year. Back, I think the date is June the 3rd, so if anybody wants information on that, I want to make sure the Booster Club knows that we're out there trying to get people who want to be involved on that golf outing on June the 3rd. Also, Mike, we wanted to give a little bit update to the board on the direct certification process that I know a few board members were interested in.
Definitely, the board was definitely interested in an update here on the direct certification, how it was coming along. So back on January the 24th, the district had sent out a bright arrow notification to all parents district-wide. This is kind of set on a 2-week kind of cycle. And in the beginning, also on January 24th, a Facebook message went out, both in English and in Spanish, and that was originally set up for every 2 weeks, kind of a cadence, if you will, throughout the community. Since then, the Facebook has been updated weekly, and it goes out on Mondays, so we kind of see an influx of calls on Tuesday. It helps out a little bit. Just to give everybody an idea, like a typical baseline on our direct certifications monthly range from anywhere to 6 to 13, let's say, 13 on a really high month. Those are directly certified students that would come in, on average. So our first notification that went out, and this was the time frame from January 20th through the end of January. So the report was run on February the 1st. We had 17 students directly certify, and that was kind of with us going out through the 24th through, so that was like less than a week. We had 17 right away. I would call that really low-hanging fruit that were directly certified and in the state system. They went through the process. We were also fielding a lot of phone calls, both in English and Spanish, and Matthew Jones and Yesenia Gamache really helped out with the Spanish-speaking families as well, going through the process. So The second round went out. These are the direct certification numbers from February 8th through the 1st of March. There was an additional 20. So it faded a little bit, but still kind of positive. So we have a grand total of 37 additional in about a month and a week's time. So about five and a half weeks time. So, which is 3 or 4 times almost the norm of what we would normally had for those months directly certified. We're still hopeful to kind of reach a goal of 50 per month. That would be absolutely awesome, but I mean, if we can average still, I would say 25 to 30 between now and June, that might be enough to change the balances of our state funding factors, if you look at it that way. So I can't guarantee anything because we won't know where all the rest of the state schools are at funding-wise, but it definitely does help. So I take it for every 35, every 38, it moves us up 1 percentage point. So if we can move up 1 percentage point a month, that would be fantastic between now and June. So any questions?
Thanks, Mike. Brandon, can you just want to see what the next slide is on our so Mike's going to stay there, I think, in a second. But we did have 3 FOIAs since our last meeting, board. Chicago Line Construction put in a FOIA regarding landscape bids. Ben Geert regarding the referendum and bond information. And the ABC 7 Chicago regarding library books. So those were the 3 FOIAs since our last meeting. And we also, on our superintendent's report, have our treasurer's report. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Engel.
Well, good evening again. So in front of you guys, you should have the budget update. So I'm going to go to the next slide, Brandon, please. So I'm going to break down the fund balance here for everybody. So the fund balance as of February 28th, 2022 is $32.2 million. You subtract out debt service at $1 million, it brings the total back down to 31.2. Subtract out capital projects at 200,000, brings us down to 31 even. The working cash restricted portion, these are the remaining bonds funds from the December 2018 refunding, if you will, leaves us with a remaining balance right now of $21 million. This accounts for approximately 29.1% of our annual revenue. So if you look at it, ISB's recommendation still is at 25%, so we're still above that. I will say for the month of March, we're going to dip below that really quick here. So again, for comparison, this is 12 years ago. The district had a fund balance of just over 57 million. Subtract out the debt service for that time period was 4 million, so it brought it down to 53. Subtract out capital projects, and that was 27.4 million, brought it down to 25.6, which then accounted for 50.2% of our annual revenue. So if you're looking, again, that's way beyond what we have currently. Next slide. I'm going to go into the treasurer's report. So here in front of you, you can see the, oh boy,
Look in your docs.
So yeah, definitely look in the docs. So revenues, as you can see, year to date are 39.3 million. Expenditures year to date are 41.1 in comparison a year ago, with revenues at 37.3 and expenditures at 36.8. You can definitely tell we are definitely back in school and no longer remote. Our expenses are definitely. I'm not going to say that they're high, but they're definitely reflective of us being back in session versus.
They're normal.
Yes, they're definitely normal.
Compared to what it was before.
Correct.
Right.
So if you go to the next slide, so this is actual year-to-date revenues coming in. Projected wise, we should be right around 62%. We're at 60.6. Local sources, we should be estimated right now at about 57. We're at 57.18. And state sources, we should be at about 68% and, 67%, and we're at 68.4. So we're a little bit ahead on the state year-to-date. Expenditures, next slide. So projected year-to-date expenditures, we should be almost right at, I'm going to say 60.5%. We're at 62.9. Year-to-date salaries and benefits, we're literally right on target. We're supposed to be at 57.4. We're at 58.5. Year-to-date other objects, including special ed. We're running a little bit warm, if you will. We're at 73.9. We should be right around 67%. So that's kind of a quick breakdown of expenditures. The next one here. As you can see, last year's fund balances for each month are up there in the blue line. Right now, we are the current pink line underneath, and as you can see, in February, we are,
It's the other way
Or the
around.
blue line.
We're the blue line.
oh, excuse me,
Current
yep,
year.
yep, we are the blue line, sorry about that.
No
You can see we are, it's not as a dramatic, it's a little bit more dramatic, negatively sloped line versus the pink line underneath, so again, that's another indication that we are expanding a little bit more and kind of going back to a normal slope, if you will. If you guys can see that first column over there, that's the ed fund. This is the first month that the ed fund has gone negative in the month of February, and just that's ever so slightly there. That's that kind of medium colored blue, if you look at it. So next slide. Again, this is for the month ending of February 28th. You can see the fund balances there, and the ed fund went negative 685,000. O&M, it's at 7.6 million. If you look at debt service, we have about $1 million in debt service. Transportation, 2.7. IMRF, 1.4 million. Capital projects, 157,000. Working cash, this is both restricted and unrestricted at 19.7, and tort at 277,000. And then next slide. This is everything from year to date. This is beginning fund balances and the ending there.
So one question, I think you answered it. So the 32 fund balance minus roughly 10 million in restricted has us at 22.
And if you take the ed out, also as a negative, yeah, I'm just looking at the room here. A couple of you were here when we did the original, in lieu of tax anticipation warrants, we did the $6 million transfer from, we probably will be doing that again this year. I'm estimating we'll probably have to do it either the second meeting in April or the first one in March. And we'll have the resolution just like we did last time for it. Okay. It'll be most likely the first meeting in May.
You said March.
Oh, so sorry, yeah. Either the second meeting in April or the first meeting in May. My apologies.
It's okay. We knew what you meant.
Yeah. That's when we're, going low. Any
Okay.
questions?
We got it.
It's also the end of the superintendent's report.
So I have one question, on the summer camps, we used to get like a list or even some of the I know the sign-up forms are online, so are there like brochures for those things or anything? Yeah, they're all online. But there's no handouts to speak of? Yeah. So. I need paper.
Well.
Okay. Well, could I get a list then? That'd be great. Thank you. Understood. We're good. Okay, then, moving on to the consent agenda. So let's see. We're going to have some different. So we're going to take out B and D, right? Right. So I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented, which includes, that's A is, yeah, it calls it A, Exhibit A. Oh, I see. That's confusing. Hang on, bear with me. So really all we're going to do is the acknowledgement of the gifts and the payment of the bills. So I move to approve the consent agenda items, which includes the payment of bills for March 15th, 2022 in the amount of $4,646,627.34, and the acceptance and acknowledgement of gifts to the district as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
So we've got motion by Anderson and second by Drake.
Correct.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Drake? Yes. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
All right, then, so I move to approve the consent agenda item, where is that thing? for the regular meeting minutes and executive session minutes of February 22nd, 2022. Martinez.
Motion by Anderson, second by Martinez. Mr. Demonte?
Abstain.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Abstain.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 3 yes and 2 abstentions. Motion carries.
Okay. I move to approve the consent agenda items, which includes Exhibit A, personal recommendations, 93, Jennifer Salami reassignment, 94, Ava Wolf leave of absent, and number 95, Jennifer Salami new hire promotion. Exhibit B, personnel recommendations, 35B and 36B as posted.
Second.
Motion by Anderson, second by Drake. Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mrs. Demonte? Or Mr. Demonte, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
On to new business. Item A.
The first item for the board's consideration is the resolution for approval, recommendation for approval of a resolution for honorable dismissal of teachers. This happens for us generally in March each and every year when we look for an honorable dismissal of teachers, many of which are entitled to recall rights in the district.
I move to approve the resolution for honorable dismissal of teachers as presented.
I'm also going to name those names, if I could, real quick, Mr. Anderson, just to make sure that people know that the teachers that are being recommended for honorable dismissal include Sarah Capriel, Julie Zubin, Nick Lewis, Luda Lee, Gina Migliori, Karina Morales, and Megan Richten.
We need a second.
Second.
By Anderson, second by Demonte. Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next item in new business, I believe, is an approval for a band trip. I'm going to ask Dr. Keeley if he could come to the podium and give a brief overview of this.
Boosters and band directors would like to kind of have this field trip, which is very local, right here in Gurnee. Typically, every other year, the band does a trip. They do a trip to New York or Florida or somewhere to perform. It's also part of the trip. Obviously, COVID impacted that. So they're just looking to do an end-of-the-year celebration right here in Gurnee and support our local businesses and also have fun and get the kids all together one last time before the end of the school year. Any questions?
No, sounds good. I move to approve the band trip proposal to Great Wolf Lodge in Gurnee from April 29 to 30, 2022.
Second.
Martinez.
Anderson, second by Martinez. Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte? Yes. Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
E-rate.
So back in January, when we talked about the E-rate projects for the year, the first one was the switching that the board approved back in January. This is the second project, which is an update of the fiber cable runs at both campuses. We have extremely old fiber. In some cases, fibers that comes in bundles, usually 4 or 6, and then some cases we're down to 1 operating fiber connecting our switches back to our main data center. So we went out to bid through E-rate, and we were through a competitive bid process. We were able to come in around $110,000 for the project. After our E-rate discount of 40%, it comes out to a total cost of $66,550. We did sell some old switches that we have just decommissioned to recoup about $15,000 to utilize towards this project. We're hopeful that the board approves this. It's necessary for us to support the infrastructure and the network loads that we have now, and also looking forward to expansion and further draw on the network as technology continues to require more and more over the years. So we're kind of looking to future-proof as well as fix our current needs.
Mr. Drake.
Yes, Mr. Drake.
When's the last time we did this? Feels like we did this like 3-4 years ago.
We've had some small little projects like connect like new IDFs or things like that, but the main runs back to the back from like out in our like existing closets back to the main data centers haven't been done in years. We actually when we started putting in our new switches that are now 10 gig capable, we have fiber cables that only run at 1 gig speeds.
How is the Wi-Fi access? Years ago, it was a real problem.
It's been rock solid. So when we started partnering with McQueen Technology Group, they helped us kind of streamline that system under when we were using the Aruba product. And then last year we took out Aruba and put in Meraki throughout the district, and it's been rock solid since the day we put it in. So now we're in a cloud-based wireless system. So we don't have any controllers local. It's all through the cloud, and those things we can manage them from anywhere at any time, and they've been rock solid since we put them in.
Any more questions? I move to approve the E-rate Category 2 expenditure for E-rate year 25 as presented, with no purchasing to take place until final approval is granted by the Universal Service Administrator Company, USAC.
Second.
Motion by
Real.
Anderson, second by Martinez. Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
New novels?
New novels. So the board approved back in February the list of approved the required reading list for next year. At the time, our English department here at the Almond campus was still finalizing the curriculum for our new English course, senior English course next year. We've consolidated our senior English courses into a new 1 full year course because with the reduction in our staff numbers have lowered, we can't offer as many options for senior year English, so we needed to create a new course to get all of our seniors that are not in our dual credit or our transitional English class. We need to have one offering for them. So they completed that work to outline the curriculum, and the novels on the list in board docs are what they have selected to align to the curricular goals for next year.
Any questions?
To approve the additional required novels for the 22-23 school year as presented.
Second. Roll call.
Motion by Drake and second by Anderson. Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
New joint agreement?
Yeah, it's been a while since the joint agreement with the Lake County Tech campus and the vocational system has been brought before our respective boards. Obviously, we have a great relationship with the Tech campus and a lot of students there each and every year. So what's before the board is a recommended approval of an updated agreement. It's gone through legal that represents all the member districts at the Tech campus as well as the Illinois State Board of Education. Those were required before it became to the member districts for approval. And I think they need two-thirds of the member districts' boards to approve this for it to be ratified.
Relationship.
Yeah. Not related to this, but when are they moving into that new building down there, the old Lowe's? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I think it's always, I don't think they moved the date at all. I think it's supposed to be in the fall, Mr. Anderson. I'll get
Before
it
school starts or not?
I don't know.
Hopefully?
Yeah, they're starting on time in the fall. They plan to have class.
Great.
Will that expand the offerings to us at all, or is it just more facilities, higher capacity?
Yeah, and I think there is at least one program, I'm not sure which one it is, that is specifically is designed to start to move some students out there because of the facility itself. And we have, by the way, Dr. Keeley, didn't we invite Tech Campus to come give an update in May? They'll be here to give kind of their usual partner report, so that'll be exciting.
Good. Okay. I move to approve the joint agreement between participating districts for the Lake County Area Vocational System as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Anderson, second by Blair. Mr. Demonte.
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. Drake.
Yes.
Mrs. Blair.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
New kitchen equipment. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Didn't we
Well-
buy new kitchen equipment when we got the new the Quest food service people? Some of it? Didn't we?
We got a dish machine in 18. That was.
Well, that should be enough.
49,000.
No, it's not.
This is kind of almost embarrassing, but we, so long story short, we have, I'm just gonna say inoperative equipment in the kitchen that's 38 plus years old that, we will have some scrap value for it. Some of it's stainless steel and recyclable and so on and so forth, okay? But, we solicited quotes from ADE, Central Kitchen Equipment, and RA. This is exactly what's needed to be replaced. This is bare bones. It includes 4 double convection ovens, 1 gas fryer, 2 refrigerators, 2 heated cabinets, 1 serving line, 1 sneeze guard, and 1 stainless steel wall. Most of the majority of this is going over to the Eau Plaine campus. Our lowest responsive quote was at $269,748.76, and this included both campuses, all equipment, all delivery and installation of this equipment. So, just to give everybody an idea, just to replace the kitchen equipment on both sides of town would be roughly over $2 million. So this is as needed. If we plan on having a food service for next year, we need it, so.
What's Almond looking like?
Almond's in better shape only because the building's about 20 years old. So we're not there yet. I would say in about another 15 years, we'll be looking at Almond, but Eau Plaine will need some stuff again, maybe in another 5 years. It's just we're end of life cycle. on
This
most-
would be installed during the summer?
It has to be, yeah.
Okay.
It has to be ready before school starts. And that was part of, so the solicitation was lead time on equipment and having the installation on it, so.
That was gonna be my caution, because you can't buy a refrigerator right
Nope.
now anywhere. Or a
So-
stove or anything.
We were running into those issues as well with our walk-in freezers and refrigerators, the paneling, the stainless steel walls. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be done, and some of those projects could be done, but with hesitation. So we're just going to wait and postpone those.
Artie, then.
Can I just make one comment?
Yes.
Before we vote.
Yes.
I talked to Mike a little bit before the meeting started just to get some clarity, but I'm really, this is a tough one for me. I'm hanging my hat on the words inoperable or non-functioning, and I don't know if that's a stretch or if that's the truth, but when we're all out busting our humps trying to get a referendum passed, and I see a dollar amount attached to appliances, when we're talking about cutting programs and teachers, this is a hard one for me. This is not one that just, so I'm really hoping things are inoperable or things are non-functioning. We got to feed kids, get it. That's part of the learning environment. They need to have food in order to learn. So I just wanted I would be remiss if I did not make that comment publicly, that it is in my mind. It's probably on other people's minds, but obviously if we need it, we need it. But I just want to make sure that every effort was made to extend the life of these appliances when we're talking about cutting things.
We had Jose even looking into taking top ovens that were still halfway functionable and removing them to combine them with lower. It's just.
That makes me feel better.
We've
even if it didn't work.
She tried.
For effort.
I mean, we're there.
Yeah, that's what I needed to hear. It makes the vote easier to digest. Thank you. Yeah.
So I move to approve the purchase of kitchen equipment at the Eau Plaine and Almond campuses and award to RA in the amount of $269,748.76.
Second.
Drake, roll call.
Motion by Anderson and second by Drake. Mrs. Blair.
Yes.
Mr. Demonte.
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
Goes into health, life, safety. This is the replacement of the campus doors, both at Almond and Eau Plaine campuses. We've got attached quotes here. This goes back to the DLA architects back in 2017. These doors do have a longer lead time. They will be replaced over the summer, or if they can get parts a little bit sooner, they will be replaced sooner. But as they're coming in, we will get the project done. Again, there's $153,443.47 worth of door replacements and frame replacements here. The good thing is this is actually coming out of bond proceeds. This was identified back in the 2018 working cash bonds that came in. So we are asking the board to approve these projects as needed.
The health, life, and safety inspection is from like the Lake County, where's
It's
that?
between the architects and
Oh,
Lake County
okay.
when they come in. Yeah, it's
Okay.
identified projects that need to be
Okay.
done.
See previous comments made by Tony DeMonte 3 minutes ago. I'm not going to say it's quite the same with the fiber, because fiber is access to many times the curriculum by kids, but my same comments apply. It's very hard for me to approve doors right now, but I get the fact there was a bond passed. I get the fact that it fell under life safety. But the timing to me is tough.
Well, one thing I can say in honor of doors and stuff like that is that if you wait until the fire marshal actually comes through and says, you fix this or you're shut down, you'll pay a fortune for this stuff to get it in a hurry. And they do inspect fire doors because they have to close, they have to have a certain minimum gap, and there's a lot of stuff. More stuff goes into it than just hanging a door. So I agree with you that spending this kind of money right now is bad, but if these are failing life safety things, then they need to be done.
A lot of these door replacements are for fire-rated doors, where currently there are not fire-rated doors installed.
Thank you. That helps as well.
You get a family discount?
And maybe it's an optics thing that we're more concerned about, but the funding for this comes out of the restricted fund.
Correct.
There was a whole list of items on this inspection that we've been whittling away at for years.
Correct. There was money earmarked specifically for health, life, safety, and for doors.
Ready? I move to approve the door repairs and replacements as identified by the Health, Life, Safety Inspection in the amount of $153,443.47.
Second.
Drake, roll call.
Motion by Anderson and second by Drake. Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. DeMonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Drake? Yes. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
Elevators.
Yeah, this is for the, sorry. I mean, this is stuff that.
Not even going to say it.
Yeah.
Ditto.
This is the Eau Plaine campus elevator. There's no longer components being made for them. The last time components were made were about 20 years ago. We've been using secondhand and taking apart other components to make the elevator continue to work. Again, this follows within ADA and compliance for us to even be open for school. There is a longer lead time with this one, so this one's much more time sensitive versus the doors that could be done kind of like at the end of the school year during the summer and kind of beginning. This needs to be rectified this summer. And again, this is the complete, not just the elevator, but the actual all guts of the elevator, the actual elevator car, the hydraulics, everything at the Eau Plaine campus. So.
And where are we going to take the money? What budget are we taking this out of?
This is coming out of buildings and grounds. This is not earmarked money being used for this. And, you know, we're going to have items that kind of pop up like this over time. I'm sure that as the board kind of is aware, the last 4 or 5 years, we've gone from having $1 million a year in the buildings and grounds kind of capital projects. And my first year here was whittled down to $750, then $400,000, then $250, and down to $100,000 this year. So we will have some deferred maintenance things be popping up over the next couple of years that are going to kind of rear its head. So this is definitely one of them. Questions?
Just a comment. So this goes back a ways in my tenure here on the board. But less than 6 years ago, there was a detailed facility process that we went through to list out everything that we were going to need, and it was a 5-year plan that we were going to roll over every year. How do we have that in place and get surprised with a $100,000 elevator they don't make parts for?
That's a great question.
Talking to a guy, by the way, that owned the facility maintenance process for Kraft Foods for about 10 years.
So a lot of it's been deferred, Mr. Drake, quite a bit.
So
of
we
it.
knew about it.
It was definitely on the radar. It's just the parts for it are no longer there. They're no longer accessible.
So my follow-up comment question is, in 2 meetings from now, what else is going to be on here for $250,000?
Hoping nothing.
Hope is not a strategy.
I'm hoping, I mean, I'm not trying to give a comical answer here, but, I mean, as we know, like the roofs right now definitely need attention and,
Time out. We went through we paid a lot of money for a detailed roof inspection. There should be no surprises.
Oh, no, there are no surprises.
Okay.
Whether we have to spend it now or we can wait.
Correct,
another 6
exactly.
Okay, just,
Yeah,
But,
it's not a
you
surprise.
you know how I'm going to
But,
react,
yeah,
so.
but we did go out to bid, not that long ago with Crowley and Associates, and the bids did come back for the immediate roof repair work. Came back 3 times higher than expected. That's going to be rebid and kind of postponed, if you will, so.
But we
No.
just spent $4 million on roofs, and that was going to buy us like 5 years. That was less than 18 months ago.
I don't think we spent 4.
No.
We didn't spend.
3.5, 2.5. We spent millions of dollars on roofs. We had the guy here, he presented it to us.
We did a
And
portion.
we executed the work.
We did a portion of the work. We did not do the majority of it. We did the spine along here, and the rest of the projects were postponed. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't spend the money. That is, I remember that.
And there's not a list
'Cause that
that,
was part of the
that
bonds.
can be
That's why we
provided
went
to
out
us
for
if we,
bonds.
Oh, absolutely. There's,
so
That
we
was included
see.
in that list of work.
The money is still earmarked for that out of the bonds, but
Yeah.
we've borrowed it.
Yeah, I know, 6 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. But there's a list of those roof projects. We have all that. If you'd like to see it, we can get that.
We should have a list of every single thing that we have to do to our roofs, period.
We do, we have it.
Okay. We paid a lot of money for that assessment. No more questions.
Okay, we're back to the elevator. So I move to approve the Eau Plaine Elevator Project and award Lakeland Larson Elevator at a cost of $91,944.
Second.
Drake, roll
Motion-
call.
Motion by Anderson, second by Drake. Mr. Demonte,
Yes.
Mrs. Blair,
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
Old business.
Dr. Keeley, can you please come to the podium? We've just spent a minute here on any updates on our return to school and/or related items. I think we wanted to talk a little bit about, can you go one more slide, Brandon, for me? Just, there you go. Those are your 3 topics.
So the new guidance that will say, and you'll see it in anything we put out, masks are recommended only for areas in high transmission, which we are no longer in high transmission. Okay, so that's where you see that. You always see it in parentheses, when in high transmission, and again, we are not in high transmission. Prom and graduation, we have solidified that, not just recently, a few weeks ago, just want to keep updating the board. There are no mitigations in place for prom or graduation. There were more kind of severe restrictions in place for prom because of the food detail of it and being in Cook County. But those all have been lifted, so again, no mitigations for prom or graduation. will
So
be
kids
as-
who have not been vaccinated can now join.
That's correct.
Thank you. Cook County. Yes.
And then I believe we are getting close to the end. We did want to talk about 2 more slides there, Brandon, and 1 more if you would. So just add one more, Brandon. We wanted to make sure that we just, that the board updated on all of us the last time we were together. So we are right, we're looking at the Spanish translation. We were doing a little work on the Spanish translation of our ballot that was presented to the county. And so we're just waiting on just one more okay on that, and then we'll be all good with the county and be posting those questions, if you will, on our doors and on our website and on a few other places in the district. So just to make sure that everybody has the official question of our referendum, a ballot in English and Spanish for a variety of reasons. That's extremely important to us, and we're 99% done with that process, if you will. We also have 2 district mailings planned. We up till now haven't actually physically sent anything out, so we're excited that we are anticipating that hopefully before spring break, we anticipate that those will get to all of our residents' homes. We have a first mailing going out, which, you know, generally speaking, it just includes a lot of the information that is on our informational brochure, just to make sure people are aware that there is a referendum vote on the 28th, and it's a 60-cent question, what it costs the homeowner, and in addition to what it does for our programming. So that's in the first mailing. And the second mailing, which we have tentatively expected to get to homes on or about May the 13th, we'll have more information on there. In addition to some of that first information, we'll also have information about voting logistics, if you will, in terms of where to vote and how to vote and all that kind of stuff. So those are there's just more information on the actual election itself planned for our second mailing to make sure that our community is aware both of the substance of the referendum and the logistics of the vote itself. So those are the 2 district mailings that we are planning on sending out. One, hopefully before spring break, the other one on or about May the 13th. One question I have for the board was 2 meetings. I just want to make sure I hear one more confirmation one more time, because we do have a policy 820, I think it is, having to do with our building usage requirements. And I think at 2 separate meetings, the board had given me a nod that yes, indeed, if indeed we do not have a successful referendum, when programs start to be cut back for our own kids, we at that point in time will not be renting out our facilities to external parties. So we're all good doing that. Just wanted to confirm one more time. I've got a letter that has been prepared and reviewed to go to people who have regularly used our buildings, just so that they're aware of it. And I'll also prepare a draft remedy to our policy 820 that'll go into effect in July. I'll work with Dr. Wiesman on that just to make sure the board is aware if there's not a successful referendum. We would need to change our current policy if there is not a successful referendum, but legal told us we can write a letter to people just letting them know of that situation, that if there's not a successful referendum, we'll be changing our policy and you will no longer be able to use our facility. So just wanted to get a nod from the board that we're still at that point.
Could you just give me an example or 2 of organizations that have used our facility, just so I'm reminded of that?
A lot of them are just youth athletic groups have used they've used our facility for under, some kind of rental agreement. So it's those kinds of organizations that have used our facility.
It's the local travel programs in volleyball, baseball, softball, track and field, whatever. In the wintertime, they rent the facility on the weekend sometimes and come in here and practice, use the field house.
The students that are in those programs are from this school?
Not entirely.
Okay.
But I would say, depending on the program, some of them are true feeder programs, and some of them are just travel programs that are based in Gurnee, but there may be some students outside of the district on the team. I wouldn't say there's none on the team, but I don't think there's a requirement that they have to have students on the team. I don't think.
Is there a facility rental fee that we currently charge them?
We do. It just barely breaks. I mean, to be honest with you, it just barely breaks us even. But it was also wanting to make sure that philosophically, just thinking through the fact that if we don't pass a referendum, we will not have a lot of our students being able to access our own facilities for our own sports.
It's hard, the answer is yes for me. It's hard philosophically, if our kids don't have access to programming, to walk through the halls and see others accessing for I get that there's differences and nuances, but that would be tough to say no. It's either that or we increase the fees of those renting by a lot. I get it's the community's building, but we're also staffing it. We're replacing doors, floors, and doing other things. There's real wear and tear on our facilities. One of them might need to use an elevator, let's say, and you might have to hypothetically approve $91,000 to replace an elevator. But there's real costs associated with usage, and yeah, I'm kind of there.
It's almost a courtesy now. And if they were gonna,
It's a courtesy now. That's a great way to phrase it.
It is. Which, yeah.
Yeah, it's a community's building, and if times were different, that makes sense to me, but we can't keep giving away the electricity, the heat, cooling, and all that. We don't have the money, so. Yes, I'm sorry.
Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted just to confirm that direction. So, all right. And then the last, let's see, we have some presentations coming up, information presentations. So actually tomorrow we'll be at the Grandwood Park District building.
Who's going?
Kathy's going. So our whole administrative team is going. We're given the Spanish. We flipped the order for this one. The Spanish is at 6 o'clock. And either Matt Jones and or Yesenia Gamache will be there, or both. But that's at 6 o'clock, and then the English presentation is at 7 o'clock. So, we're excited to go to a different venue and kind of give our presentation there as well.
It's a meeting, right?
It's
Posted as a meeting?
That one is posted as a meeting.
Anybody can go.
Yeah, anybody can go.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be just two, because he posted it as an actual meeting, so.
I will try to make it to the 6th, but if not, I'll be there for the 7.
Thank you. And we also, by the way, we're still working with the mayor on a potential presentation to them at their village board meeting, which wouldn't be necessarily posted as one of our meetings. It's more of a presentation just to their board, and probably not our normal, if we are able to work that through on the 21st or at an upcoming meeting, it'll probably be a little bit of an abridged version of our presentation, not the entire presentation. So we'll work through that with the mayor. We appreciate anybody's opportunity to allow us to come in and just present information on our school district and our desire to keep our programs going for our kids. We also, Mr. DeMonte's been working.
Yeah, we tentatively have just very in the same vein of how we have, we're going to Grandwood Park District. Wildwood Park District has agreed to host us on April 13th. So they've given okay via email. We'll lock in whatever agreement they need, but we'll be able to use Rule House at Rule Park in Wildwood on the 13th of April.
Nice.
Yeah. And I would encourage us to continue, this falls under the last bullet point, to continue that kind of outreach. I know I say this ad nauseum, but Village of Wadsworth has a village hall on Wadsworth Road. Park City, they have a mayor, they have a facility. Township buildings, there's other, I call it the kind of greater Gurnee area, but there's a whole lot of communities out there that may have local community centers. So this is a great start. It's, and these are great things happening. I love it. But if there might be others that I'm not aware of, I did reach out to Village of Third Lake. Yes, there is a Village of Third Lake, but only one street is within our boundaries. One street, according to the mayor. So
That one street goes to our school.
yeah, and he's all on board. The mayor of Village of Third Lake, he'll host whatever we want to host, but for that one street, he said, I'm not sure it's worth your time. But to those voters, maybe it is worth that time. So I need to identify that one street, and maybe there's a way to target it. But
How about just door to door to that street?
yeah, at that point, it's door to door.
It's door.
Maybe plural, but I don't know.
I have a connection into Wadsworth. I'll follow up on
I
that.
emailed them, and I got one response, and it was very distant. So
Somebody that works for the mayor.
that would be excellent, because we could do that over there as well, and that's,
Take that follow-up.
yeah, that's great.
If anyone was thinking about Fairway Ridge, they were a hard no. So, sorry, not to call them out, but
Very
over by Heather Ridge, they have a nice community building, and, yeah.
Not friendly. Okay. I'm gonna be at Starbucks on Saturday, so,
I'd love to make one of those.
the next 2 Saturdays. Coffee. Yeah. Okay, if that's it, there are no other questions, there's another chance for, if anybody would like to address the board again, please feel free to come forward. We have time set aside for that, so. And if any of you get up, no, I'm just kidding. You are more than welcome to come up again if you would like.
Thank you for coming forward.
We thank you for coming to talk to us.
And to that
We don't
young-
get that much, so.
Yes, and to Adrian.
And to that young gentleman over there, tremendous amount of courage. I really appreciate you coming forward. Thank you. I spoke to my school board when I was in high school one time, and I think I blacked out. I was so nervous. I don't remember
And
it.
just for clarity, because this falls under board discussion of visitor comments, so a lot of people in the audience and those that speak don't realize we don't work for the school district. We're community, like you guys out there. We were just elected to oversee the local schools, local control local schools. So we are the appropriate, you go through the right process as the athletic director in talking with all of the administration, coaches, and that is the proper protocol. But if one feels that they're not getting attention, it is a way to voice that, and you have local oversight that does listen and respond. So I just want to be clear of that difference of we are not the district. We represent the district as community members like you guys. So, yeah. So. You said that you don't represent the district. No. We don't work for the school district, but we are elected members, and we're community that, and all boards are, that represent, and we advocate and look out for the schools. So it's that whole concept of local control. We get so many comments over a lot of meetings where people think we're the administration or, and we're not, we don't know all the things that happen on a day-to-day basis.
But we're also here to represent you.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm trying to say.
That's what Tony meant.
Except said in about 4 words.
All right then, well, I think that's enough for one day, so I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Anderson and second by Drake. Mr. DeMonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mrs. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Drake? Yes. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you again, everyone. Thanks, everyone.